So hello guys and welcome back to our channel. So today we would like to look at I'll pull up the readme over here and maybe preview it so you see. Bring this over here. So what I would like us to look at today would be cron and cron scheduling. So in case you don't know what they are, so you can just think of them as time-based job scheduling system that allow you to execute commands or scripts or whatever it is at specific intervals or at specific times. So I mean, originally it was really relegated to the Unix operating system, but it has of course become like a standard feature in modern computing environments. So the importance of cron and working with cron and scheduling of jobs cannot be really overemphasized, as it has become like a fundamental aspect of software development. So you now have the option to work with it and now automate tasks, optimize resource utilization, like ensure timely execution of critical processes, and so on and so forth. There's a lot you can do. You can leverage scheduling techniques, to improve system reliability, to reduce manual intervention, and of course, enhance overall efficiency. So what we're going to do now, we're going to actually talk about this in steps. So the first thing I'd like to do is show you a quite simple example of how you could work with cron within the Rust ecosystem. There are a lot of already, I would say, close to mature libraries in Rust that you can already work with, as like when it comes to working or more or less setting up like a cron server or whatever it is as the case might be. And of course, within the Rust ecosystem, you also have a lot of options if you would want to implement yours right from scratch. And this is also in the direction of a project which I currently am planning, but hope to, of course, start sometime in the future. Because right now, to be honest, my hands are full. I'm trying to work full time, trying to, of course, work on YouTube, and as well, I'm also currently taking like a professional course from MIT because I'm really into the IoT ecosystem. But anyways, sometime towards September, I would actually probably start working on this project. I'll unveil it because the idea for this project will really be to provide Rust enthusiasts like a cloud offering, like a cloud-based where they can actually bring their own code, and have them run at certain times, more or less like a scheduling system. But I want to make it specifically for Rust. But we'll talk about this maybe towards the end of this video. Anyways, to get started, I've just added for now just these two libraries, cron and chrono, and you can also read a little bit about them if you want to know how they work. And but to get started, I'm probably just going to come into main. I'm just going to collapse this to give us more room to work. So I'm going to come here actually, and I don't know. I'm just going to comment all of this out for now. And when I'm done, I'm just going to move the code to somewhere else. So you can, of course, use it however you would want. But of course, I would like you to have the source code in the end. Anyway, so I'm just going to comment all of this out. Sorry, and now I start writing something new. So like I said, I'm just gonna really start small, and then we can, of course, expand on the knowledge. So I'm gonna create a function, not a main. Oh, come on. So I have my main function. So what I wanna do and what I wanna show you right now is to just give you like a quick intro how we can actually work with cron, like very simple examples. So I'm gonna define a variable called schedule. So this is going to help me to schedule the jobs that I would want to run. Okay, and I can say from string, and also this string would allow me to more or less write like an expression that represents the frequency with which a certain task would need to be run. And this more or less is actually referred to as like this has to be like is I think it's referred to as a cron syntax. And I can also show you, I have already pulled this up from the internet. I'm bringing that over here. So you have this website called crontab.guru that lets you understand how to actually write the cron syntax, I would say. So where you have the first letter here representing minutes, this is hours, this is day, months, year. So for example, if you want to have a job run every 1 minute, for example, then what it means is that you're going to have 1 here, and then every other thing would be 0, and this would be 1 minute, of course. But if you want this to be in 30 seconds, then this should be 1/2. So that will be like half of a second, and then this job would run like every 30 seconds. Okay, more on that later. I'm just gonna move this to the side, and so we can actually start working. So why I also needed to show you that was just so if I write the expression in here, you would not be confused actually. So in here, what I want to do is if I want a task that runs every minute, I can say 0 star have to be 5 or 6 actually. Let me confirm. So I think it's correct this way, and of course I have an error here. I'm just going to do an unwrap, and this would give me a job that runs every minute. But maybe what I can do is I think I can do like a 10 like this, and then this would run every 6 seconds. I'm not sure, but of course we'll see how that will look in the end. So I have my schedule this way, and maybe I can put a print statement here. No, I don't really need. We will see that actually. I'm just gonna get rid of this, and then I can say like for dates time, in schedule. So you have a function called upcoming, and within here you can actually specify the time zone. For now, I'm just gonna use UTC. So I'll say UTC, and then that's next. So this would of course give me the iterators, and then I can again handle my error this way. And oh, sorry, that's not what I wanted to do. Um, so what I can actually do is this function right here would of course give me the iterator. So it's going to give me of course a list of vectors, and this would be like the preceding times I would have to run my schedule. So but I'm just going to bring that down here for now, comment this out. So what I want to do first would be for us to see the next possible times our job would have to run in the future. I can say take, and I provide a number. I can say 10 for example, and then I add a print statement in here, for example, and here I can say, maybe come on, I can maybe do this. And in here, I would add my date time. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is more or less just for us to see what are the possible 10 times, like the test 10 preceding times in the future that this job would run. Okay, so I'm just going to open up the terminal and maybe make it a little bit bigger, and I say cargo run. And now if you look here, you would actually see the times this would run in the future. So I think from what I see here, this actually means, of course, increment of 10 seconds within the minute. So that's also why we see here. So it will be my time currently is this. Um, yes, of course, UTC, I'm not in UTC anyway. For me, it should be um, plus 2 or so, but doesn't really matter. And so, but you see here, the next would be in 20 seconds, 30, 40, 56, and then it goes to the next minute. So this is one way that we can actually see the times our cron would run in the future. Okay, so but what I can now do is I can create a variable and I can call it next run. So this, again, I'm going to do something similar. So I can say schedule that upcoming. Again, I want to go for UTC, and I can do next. So this would, of course, give me an more or less the, like I said, the iterator again. So would know like the first time this would run in the future, and then I'll handle this way. So what this would help me do more or less is to is to kind of like note when the next job would run. And what I can now do actually is to have an infinite loop in here. Again, when you, of course, in the end, we want to have this as an actual server, you would actually have to build this as an actual server. But for now, like I said, we're just starting out, so this is just going to be for demonstration purposes, okay? So I can say if next run, so we constantly look into this our iterator to see what value we have. So what I'm trying to do here is I'll try to get the current time and see if it is already time to run the next job. That's really what I'm going to do. So I'll say if this is less than or equal to, I'm going to use chrono, and I want local now. So if this is the case, that means I'm ready to execute my job. So it's already time. And for our job now, it's gonna do not much. I'm gonna say executing cron job, blah blah blah. So this is actually where you execute the job you want to do. And then after that, what I would want to do is, of course, reschedule the next job. And in here it's pretty simple, and I can see schedule.upcoming again, UTC. And what I can actually do now would be um to reset my next run. That's one thing I know I would want to do. So I can come here and say reset, and then what I can quickly do here is next run would be again equal to schedule dot upcoming, again UTC, and dot next, and I say dot unwrap, and then of course I make this immutable. And so in the end, maybe what I can do for now would be to sleep. So I can use the thread sleep, and I'm just gonna maybe again use time and duration, and I say from seconds, and I'm just gonna sleep for 1 second. So what it means is that it will do this check for me every second. So if I clear the screen and run this one more time, and what's going to happen is, again, it's going to show us the next 10 times that this job would need to run in the future. And after that, it executes our job. And then, of course, it starts waiting for the next job. So in this case, it's going to wait for 10 seconds, and then it will execute the next job again. So this is just an intro. So now I would like us to actually delve deeper. And of course, really, if you look into our code now, you would see a lot of tautology, but that's really fine. Would clean this up like right now. So let's jump in and now have like a much deeper discussion regarding cron. So now that we are sure that we have our cron set up, what I can actually do is maybe comment this out for now. I'm just going to leave it there in case someone needs it. And then I would go back to our main code. And what I would like to do is to show you an example how we can actually bake this into our cron, or sorry, our Actix server, in case we want to have this as part of our server. What we can actually do more or less would be to spawn off. So one way would be, of course, to spawn off a new task on a new thread, and then have this handle our cron jobs. And I can also maybe just show you a quick example in case you're wondering one possible way you could actually do this. So what we can do is pretty straightforward. So we already defined, if I can find somewhere, we already defined our app state. Let me try to find it. So it's actually over here. And what we can do if we want, again, is we can actually put this in our states if we wanted, and then again say have this shared across if there is any need for that at all. But if that's not the case, what I can actually do is maybe just come down here, doesn't really matter. Maybe before we define our server, I can say set up a cron on a new thread, something like this. And what we can do here is really pretty straightforward. So from the standard library, I can simply get thread, and then I can simply say spawn. And in here, I'm just gonna have an F1, so more or less like of course, an anonymous function, more or less, if you would. And now what I can actually do is within this point to now define what we want to have, of course. So like we did the initials, like we did for the initial setup, what we can also do is to come back in here and set it up. And again, it's pretty straightforward. I can do most of what we did before. So I can have, say, um, um, maybe I can also even make it interesting. So to make it interesting, I can do something like, I can also come up here and then I can maybe define, so I define a struct that's going to represent our cron state to make it a little bit interesting actually. And then in here, I would add my scheduler. So this is going to help me schedule my tasks. And then I'll add a mutex around my schedule. So this is one way I can actually put this in the states and of course log this. So I don't have to worry about, again, there are so many things you can do here anyways, but it doesn't really matter. So let's proceed. And now, so in here, what I can now do is maybe before this place, I can set up my cron state. And my cron state is really going to be pretty straightforward. What I can do here would be to define my cron states like this. And of course, I need to define my schedule. And here again, it's really pretty straightforward. So I'll use mutex.new. And then within the mutex, I now define my scheduler. So schedule.from string, like we did before. I can actually maybe just come down here and copy this because I don't want to repeat myself, and maybe I end up making a mistake. So I do a copy from string, and of course I unwrap because there could be an error, and then I need to close this up, of course. So now I have my current states, and what else do I need? What else do I need? So now maybe in here, let's see, I can come in here and define my mutable. So this is again like we did before, we define my last run. So this will tell me when my last run was actually done. So I say chrono dot, now I'm gonna use my local time, and I say dot now. So this is gonna give me my local time, and within here I can now create my loop. This is actually where I'm going to take care of all my work. So I can say yes, let's schedule. I hope it's not a capital schedule. So I'm trying to get from my state. So now I can say crons, come on, no, cron state. Now I need to, of course, get my schedule, and maybe I do a log, of course, and then I do an on. Let me see. Okay, so I have my my schedule, and now what I can also do is to maybe within the loop, I can maybe let me keep this simple for now, so I can bring this in here, and maybe I don't make it mutable yet, and then I see if I actually need to make it mutable. So with this now, I can of course maybe do a drop to drop the schedule. So this would of course release and dispose of this lock more or less. So for each iteration, so here I can actually maybe add a comment, unlock the mutex. So it's going to basically release the resource that it is holding. So now let's do, if I'm going to do a small check. If now I need to define one more variable that's going to tell me when I have to, of course, run the next function. So besides last run, I'm going to define a variable here called next run. And then this is going to, of course, come from my schedule that's upcoming. Sorry, schedule. Second. Maybe what I can also do is to move this out of the loop because I don't want this to constantly change actually. And then this guy would not be scheduled that's upcoming. And then in here, of course, I would like to use my local time, like I said. So I can say local. And then of course I use my nest to have access to the iterator, and then I unwrap. And so now I have, of course, access to my scheduler and the next run. And then I'm also dropping this resource, of course, each time I'm releasing this resource. So now I want to do a simple check here, and I can say if next run, if it is greater than the last run, for example, then what we can simply do in here now would be to actually, I can maybe define a wait time like this. And this would be my next run. I'll subtract this from my current local time. So I'll say chrono dot local, and I can say that now. And I'll have a wait time, so it's going to give me like a time delta. And now what I can actually do, for example, here would be to execute our task or whatever, but maybe I can do like a thread sleep, just to simulate some tasks actually being done. And in here, I'll need to add a duration. So time dot duration, and then duration I can say from seconds. Come on, from seconds. And then what I can now do is to provide my wait time, and of course maybe the number of seconds. This was interesting for me. And of course I can maybe type this. So I can say CU64, for example. And I close this up, and it seems we actually missed one. Okay, now that's fine. So let's just say we sleep for this time, and here I like to put some message to the screen and say some like periodic, I don't know, task. What can I say? Executed at, I provide the time. And I think this is already enough. And in here I just provide my local time again. I can say local.now, for example. And then this is to, of course, let me know when the task was actually executed. And now I can actually update my last run. Of course, I can again use chrono.local and .now. And then this will, of course, give me the last time this was executed. And of course, I'm getting some error here because I'm trying to reassign to this, but I can just make this mutable, and that should be fine. Okay, so this is actually one thing that we can, if for example you want to embed this into our Actix server, and then this is actually like one way you can do this. So now we have this running in the background, handling jobs for us. And then one cool thing, of course, you can now do, if you can already imagine, would be, let's say you have like a database, could be any kind of database, doesn't really matter. And then you would say have a list of um, 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 schedules, more or less, that's you've had people's schedule, and then you would have like you predefined tasks within your app. It could be things like send email, it could be things like delete user data, it could be anything. So what you can now do more or less is to maybe even to make it interesting, add like a channel, for example. And then what you can do is expose an endpoint to your users where you can actually provide like inputs from the user. So the user can provide like a string like this that would of course represent like when this task would be executed, when this cron job would be executed. And of course the kind, of course, again, you have your predefined tasks. So here I can specify, again, this is something you handle, maybe send email, maybe whatever. And then you can actually update this in your database, and maybe also have this some form of communication between this thread and then your MSPC channel or whatever, or one shot or whatever the case might be, like an active channel, so that it actually gives you like this flexibility that you can listen to, react to new schedules, maybe delete old schedules, maybe update them or whatever. Like there is really so much you can do with this. Again, like I said in the beginning, this is going to be like an aspect of an app I'm hoping to bring, and it's not just going to be like an app where you can have an endpoint that says send email or whatever, but I really want to provide like a complete platform where people can actually um, provide their own source code, maybe in this case a binary or something. It's also going to have like a CLI application, so you can have locally authenticate locally, use a CLI and then put some code somewhere, and then use a CLI to visualize your current schedules, edit them, delete them, update them, or whatever. But I really want it to be completely for the Rust ecosystem. So this would something that I hope to bring in the future. But again, I'm going to keep you posted. And when I start developing this, we will actually do work on this together on this channel. I will show you everything I'm doing from the start to the finish, all my learning. All my learnings, I would share everything with you, and then of course I would appreciate your feedback also in the process. Okay, so now that I've shown you how we can actually integrate this into an Actix Web server, and the next thing I really want to talk to you about is so when it comes to like third-party services, at least from the research I've done so far, I've not really been able to find a service that allows me to bring my code more or less in any language of my choice. And again, that's also one of the motivations that's really made me want to actually develop something that would allow you to bring your own, at least not just Rust, maybe also I would say basically binaries. So this you can also have this written in Go, for example, or even in C, doesn't really matter. But again, it's still in the conceptualization phase, because again, I'm trying to first conceptualize how this would be implemented in the end. Anyways, there are a lot of libraries in Rust that already offer um, that allows you more or less to do a lot, and one of them is this Applease. And if you look here, they also offer the possibility to use a couple of backends like Redis, SQLite, Postgres, MySQL, MQP, doesn't really matter. And all you have to do, of course, is to add those features here in your dependency, and then you can actually work with any of them. And so if you look here, I already showed you cron, which you've already seen. And then, of course, chrono, and which you've also already seen. But like I said, I've not really seen anyone that allows me to actually bring my code. Most of what's available, or at least what I was able to see, were services that actually allow you to develop this locally and maybe have this integrated into your own solution. But anyways, we don't have to spend so much talking about this. I would really I'm really excited about this project, to be honest, and I will, like I said, carry along all through the journey. So my learnings, the problems I encounter, the challenges, and everything, and the final solution, I will make them available on this channel. The source code are also going to be explicitly available on request to anyone who would really want to delve into them. Anyway, guys, that would be all for now. This is going to be a really short one, but I'm also glad it's a short one. But that will be all for now, guys. And yeah, again, if you're new to our channel, you already know what to do. I'm glad to really have you all already who are part of this family, like supporting us and all in this journey. But again, if you're new and you're already not part, of course, please go ahead and subscribe. And trust me, you would not regret it, because you will be. I have a lot of interesting things coming up in the future. Anyways, guys, that's all for now.